All right, everyone will know who this is. This morning I would have described him as the father of the Australian knife making industry, but we found out today that he's actually was it stepfather or father-in-law?
I don't
He's
think
like
I'm either, but whatever.
or something.
I just like to recognise Keith Spencer's role in setting up the Australian knife industry many years ago, and I think we shouldn't my memories can be short, so
Yeah, right.
I'd just like to remember Keith Spencer and Joan Spencer and all the work they did with AKC and knife making supplies back in the 90s and early 2000s. Yeah.
So that was well before me. I've literally no idea
And well before
what
that,
you're talking about, because as far as I know, there wasn't really any knife making industry on this scale until you got involved with it.
Well, that's probably true. In as much as when Keith and Joan retired, in let's say 2010 or something like that, and they stopped importing gear, then there was a big hole in the market.
Right. Okay.
And so that was. I mean, over the years they did a whole lot. I think we're probably doing more now, but obviously with social media and the interest at the moment,
it's almost easier.
Hang on, wait. This is Corin Urquhart, if you didn't know.
Isn't it? It's much easier, yeah, much easier. And they ran it through magazine subscriptions, and really pretty good. So anyway, we stepped up and brought in some steel, and the rest is kind of history.
The rest is, tell me a history, because I mean, let's call it an origin story. So from what I can tell, having come in very late, it started off with bulk buys.
No, that's correct. So we didn't. I didn't have the cash, or no one had the cash to front up and put $300,000 or $400,000 worth of gear into stock.
Oh, was that sort of amount of figures you would have been talking about?
Well,
to buy?
if you're gonna set up a business, you've got to put some capital in.
Yeah, of course.
And we didn't have it, so we just look, honestly, it wasn't a business. It was me making knives with my friends.
Right.
There were 7 of us on.
Before we go too far, did you already own Gameco?
I don't own Gameco. I don't have a share in Gameco.
Okay, well I don't know that then. Were you already the face of Gameco that everyone knows you for?
In the gas industry, a lot of people knew me at Gameco, particularly in New South Wales. But we didn't sell knife making supplies. We sold industrial gas equipment and wholesale industrial gas equipment.
Yep.
So that's kind of neither here nor there. My hobby was knife making.
Yeah.
Right. So I was on the bushcraft forums, running hammer-ins at my house. And a few people said to me, "Oh, you should bring in steel because you bring in stuff from America, and we want steel." So
yeah, right.
I said, "Righto, well, who wants to buy some?" And everyone got together, all my mates, and all 7 of them. We put together a bit of an order.
Yeah, right.
And I went to the supplier in the States. I worked out the shipping and thought, "Oh shit, it's through the roof. I need to make it a bit bigger." So I put it onto Australian Blade forums, and then ended up with about 30 people in on it, and we sold 400 bars of steel on the first order. So that came into Australia, and the general manager of Gameco at the time looked at me and said, "Was this something that's going to keep going or what?" And I said, "Oh look, everybody will be stocked up now. There'll be no more of this. I don't think we'll all have years' supply of steel." Couldn't imagine that anyone would want more. And I mean, a ton of steel, that's a lot of knives.
Yeah.
But within a few weeks.
Was it multiple types of steel?
Oh yeah, whatever anyone wanted.
Right, okay, so you didn't just buy one spec.
And we didn't like bring 10 pieces in. If someone wanted 6 and another person wanted 3, we brought 9. It was really that simple. We didn't bring any.
Oh, hell no. What sort of dude turns up to an interview with crap in his teeth? Sorry about that.
For stock or anything like that. The next order, like 2 weeks after the first order came in, word had spread, and then we got inundated with requests to do it again. And so we ran it again, and I think we did 4 in the first year. And then it was, we need grinders, can you bring grinders in? And so I started bringing in the Wilmont grinders from Chris in America, and fantastic products, little buddy and the Tag 101. Couldn't get anyone else to sell to us. No one was really half interested.
Yeah, and that was on a bulk buy as well, though.
That was in the bulk buy as well. Yeah. And now, they're all chasing me to sell their grinders, but it's too late.
Back then.
But I mean, 84 Engineering came on and said, "Look, we'll make a grinder for the Australian market," and we jokingly called it the noob grinder for noobs.
Yeah, I heard that was your name. I was interested if it was literally for noobs.
It was the new grinder for noobs, and it was because the market was full of new people.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. There was all the established makers out there, but there was heaps of people coming on, and we wanted to provide a product that could really perform at the peak without costing the earth. And The noob grinder uses the standard belts, and it's now the shop mate because marketing departments and all that thing don't like.
Yeah, right.
noob
Is that
grinder.
why it got relabelled?
But to me, it's always going to be the noob grinder.
grinder.
Yeah, so now
right.
we've got the shop mate and the shop master, and we all take things a little bit more seriously. But whether that's a good or a bad thing, I don't really care. It's, I'm in the industry to support it. It's always been my passion. It was my passion before we sold knife making equipment, so not much has changed there.
So how long have you been making knives for?
2002 I made my first knife.
Let me do maths, mate. That's like 16 years.
Yeah, that'd be right. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I'm not the world's most prolific knife maker. I did get published this year in Blade.
So it was a beautiful knife.
Yeah. So pretty happy about that.
Do you ever sell knives?
I have, at this point in my life, never sold a knife.
Really?
No, I've only ever gifted knives.
How many knives a year do you make?
On average, one a year.
Oh, right, okay.
On average, one a year. I try to make them good. But,
make them really well. About one a year.
I have a personal goal this year to do 2, so with a bit of luck, I'll double my output.
And
that'll be good. I obviously got 4 kids and manage a business as well.
You got 4 kids?
Into the in the industry fairly heavily with the Knife Art Association, the New South Wales Arts Blacksmiths, and of course the Knife Makers Guild. I'm a very proud member of those associations.
Yeah.
Particularly the Knife Art Association, which Keith Flutter came down to my house one day and we were in the shed having a chat, and Keith said, we never have a knife show in Sydney. We did it once before and it was shit. And I said, well, let's just do it and not let it be shit.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how it started. We started the Knife Art Association, and we started the Sydney Knife Show, and then the Australian Blade Symposium had run once before. Keith had run it several years previously, and it had been a success, but quite a tax on him. And so once we had the association,
having no infrastructure to run it,
having the association, we've just a few members. Some like to call it the Knife Art Association Secret Society.
Yeah, right.
It's not much of a secret though. I'll just be very clear on that. Anyone in the industry is welcome to join, but there are three conditions for membership. The first is you have to work tirelessly for the industry to run events and make the industry great.
Yep.
The second condition is you have to pay $50 every year for the privilege of doing so.
Oh man, it's expensive.
And the third one is you don't get anything in return.
It sounds to me like you get loads in return.
Well, we do, but it's emotional. It's not one of these associations where if you don't get your newsletter and you...
Oh, right,
we don't do that.
Okay.
And we direct all of our energies outward rather than worrying about the association. So the association's obviously a public association, not for profit, registered in New South Wales. All funds that were raised from events like this symposium, which has been a fantastic weekend, and from the knife shows, just go into more promotion. You see big billboards in Brisbane this year, radio advertising in Perth and Brisbane, and of course Sydney. We do that every year. This last 12 months we've pulled 7,000 members of the public through the doors of knife shows in Australia.
Incredible, isn't it?
Which prior to sort of 2012 with the numbers in Melbourne and in that, if we had 1,000 people, that would be pretty good.
Impressive,
of course, those 2 shows have picked up a little bit. It's about 1,200 now with those. But so then knife shows in Australia, you're probably looking at about 8,000 patrons walking through the doors of knife shows across Australia.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Obviously, the Knife Art Association dealt with the Sydney one, but there was other shows being.
Oh, the Adelaide and Melbourne show have been run very successfully for decades.
But the Knife Art Association is now handling some of them?
No, we don't do that. No, the Melbourne Knife Show is the guild show, so they don't have, they are just for the knife makers. Yep. They don't have any factory knives or anything like that.
Right, yep.
It's a very good show, nice intimate show, specifically for knife makers. And Adelaide is at the Arcabar Hotel every year, and first weekend of November. The guild show in Melbourne's first weekend of May. So it's coming up. First weekend in November is the Adelaide show, and that's run by Peter Bald, well-known knife maker from South Australia. Has been for decades. Yeah,
I've heard the name. I can't see. He's not online though, is he? Doesn't do much.
No, he's not really. Not like the younger generation.
Well, and that is the thing. I mean, this is a question, but it probably doesn't need to be. Clearly, even in the year and a bit that I've been involved, it seems to be growing exponentially quicker every couple of months. Like the numbers of people coming on board, that can only really be responsible for the internet, for coverage, essentially.
I'd say so. I think that the people coming on board, if anything, slowed a little bit in recent years.
Oh, really?
Probably in the last 12 months, and
Okay.
our sales would indicate that it definitely has.
Right.
But
Yeah, right.
but what we're seeing is people coming in with 2 years of knife making and making knives as good as someone who's been doing it for 20 years because of the amount of knowledge now that's easily obtainable and shared.
Yeah, of course.
Not so much on the internet. There's great information on the
There's a lot of
internet, don't get me
junk.
wrong, but a lot of it you have to weed through.
Yeah. Well, but you can make a really good zombie hacker out of a saw blade, right?
If you know what you're doing,
That's what you want to do.
if that's what you want to do.
Oh, I'm just joking.
Of course,
I'm not interested in
zombie hackers are now illegal in the
They are
state
illegal.
of New South Wales,
That's
so
right.
have fun with that.
Say that.
Write to your local member and complain about that law legislation, because whilst I don't think people should run around with zombie hackers, I definitely think we should have the right to own a knife that. Are you aware of the legislation?
You're going to tell me more than I know, I would say.
I probably will, right? So the way the legislation is currently worded, if a knife has 2 cutting edges and at least one of them is have serrations on it,
Yep.
and it's promoted and advertised as being used for violence or for
Yeah, in any way violence,
zombie
yeah.
killers, then it's now illegal. The problem I have with that, of course, is that if I buy a Mora knife, which is a fishing knife, and
Yep.
it's got the serrated back on it and all the rest of it, and somebody somewhere in the world advertises and promotes it as a zombie killer,
Even in America or
whatever, then I'm now breaking the law. How can you write a piece of legislation that says that? So write to your
And that
local
covers
member,
anything you already
investigate the legislation for yourselves, and then get in and write to your local member and say, mate, what are you doing writing legislation that's so patently stupid?
It's so vague. It doesn't mean anything.
And that's fine. We don't want people running around with big knives and being stupid. No one in the industry wants that. We don't want people promoting knives as weapons. That's not Australia. That's not what we do. But we certainly want to promote awesome knives, awesome knife makers, and what this country is all about, you know?
Oh, well, that's right. I mean, regularly looking even at American knife makers who are known for their skill, happily talk about the quality, of Australian knife makers. We're looked up to almost everywhere in the world. I say we're like I'm putting myself in that somehow. But as Australian knife makers are looked up to by incredibly good knife makers. We hear about it on podcasts and that sort of stuff. Clearly, we've got something good going on here, and it's interesting that the government are trying to quash that by not bothering writing their legislation in a...
Oh, there was no consultation that I'm aware of with any of the industry bodies, so very, very disappointing. Very disappointing. But however, I think, we have our democratic right here, and we need to let our politicians know how we feel about it.
Write a letter. Yeah, well, and it's easy to write a letter. You go online and get the address you're supposed to send it to, or email it.
Yeah, your local member. That's all you got to
It's
do.
as easy as that. So let's go back to Gameco a little bit, because I have to admit, until about 10 minutes ago, I thought Gameco was your company, or at least you were a partner or something like that in it.
No.
So
Gameco
took on...
was started in 1972 by a chap by the name of Wal Taylor in Brisbane.
Right.
Ran out of a garage there supplying specialist gas equipment. Gameco itself stands for Gas and Mechanical Equipment Company, and that's really our roots. 1972, 1976 we started in New South Wales as a partnership arrangement. It was all a bit complicated and long-winded, but basically, the sole director and so forth is now retired and took over as general manager in 2013.
You did?
Yeah.
Right, and so, I mean, obviously they've allowed you to use the platform they already had to essentially, well, it's a good business decision, but also I assume it's a good business decision, but to also help a community grow and become what essentially is an odd name for someone, for what we only recognise as a knife material company.
Yeah, so we've got the Artisan supply business. So if you look up www.gameco.com.au, you're going to see gas equipment and plumbing fittings. If you go www.artisansupplies.com.au, that's obviously our knife making business, and we also do pottery and jewellery, a bunch of stuff that we've been involved in for years, like forge burners and forge equipment and kiln burners for pottery and clay. That sort of thing from the gas side of the business has been around for forever. Right?
Yeah, right.
So now all we did is...
You already had the infrastructure, it just got bigger.
That's exactly right. And I got interested in knife making from customers coming in saying, yeah, I'm making a few knives and I'm looking for a burner. And that's sort of,
Yeah, right.
That's sort of how it started. So, yeah.
Why do you wear pink?
It's man salmon. That's the first thing.
Well,
So the first
it's arguable.
No, it's not. No, it's a known fact. So yeah, it all happened in 2015 when we ran the second symposium. The first one I was involved with. Kiefer had run the first one, like I say, several years previously. And Bruce Beamish and a guy by the name of Darwin Dalu.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He put together a poem about me, and they put it on the back of a shirt, and they thought it'd be amusing to make it a pink shirt, and of course they made me wear it all weekend, and you know, I'm all for a bit of a laugh, so it's a bit of a tradition now that the first day of the symposium, the man salmon shirt comes out, and that's just the way it is.
Hang on, but the pink one you were wearing yesterday didn't have the poem on the back.
Yeah, it did.
Did it?
Yeah.
Because last year I read the poem
Well, it's on the
on the
back.
shirt. I thought it was a different shirt. for that
Brother
reason.
that art in Picton, Corin be thy name. Yeah, it's there.
Oh, it's a scripture, yeah, I do remember that
Yeah.
kind of a scripture. Well, pink is fun.
Yeah.
But, so the Gameco range has gone, well, even lasted a while. You've started doing armour type stuff and that.
Oh,
again.
we
You
went into armour a
branding
while
out
ago,
again,
and
or
it just
branching out.
that's a hit and miss sort of thing. It's nothing really compares for us to the knife making industry. There's just far more knife makers, and it's more sustainable. So we've done bulk buys for the armourers, done bulk buys for various metalsmiths, bringing in specialty equipment, but none of them have kind of lasted like knife making. So we tend to get stuck with stuff, and it's not quite the same. We do get a fair amount of support, but it's not quite the same.
Yeah. Now the thing that actually has impressed me about you, which you don't need me to be impressed or care whether I am or not,
Not really.
but I've...
By the way, like and subscribe to this video.
Yeah, well, we could get 106
Like
if he
and subscribe.
subscribes, because he hasn't done it yet.
Haven't
I don't think so.
I? Do you follow that closely?
No, I'm just presuming you haven't.
You are scary, dude.
I'm
You
presuming
really
you haven't.
just got to let it go, man. Right away. If my YouTube channel's Corin Kayaker, you probably already subscribed there, but you're welcome to jump in.
Accidentally. When you were building a forge, you found his videos. Yeah, the fact that you clearly are doing this as much for everyone else as you are for you, the bulk buys, even the price of the 84 engineering stuff, like they could be a third more expensive and people would still buy them, but you choose to essentially put your money down in an attempt to help the industry continue to grow. I would presume.
Our knife making business is not the most profitable business in the company by a long shot, and in fact it's the least. So, you know, but it's about making it accessible as well. Like I've always maintained that accessibility is the key to developing an industry, and it's not if we'd come into the industry and said we've got all this stuff, and it would have been. I just don't think it would have taken off like it has, because we're just accessible. We try and keep everything manageable and reasonable.
Yeah. Oh man, I've managed to. I spend way too much money with you guys. I know there's probably not any way too much for you.
I spend far too much money.
But I know if I was looking for it somewhere else, I would be paying significant more. So I don't generally even think about anywhere else. And there isn't really anywhere else that you can get it all from one place from. You guys have done a really good job of putting it all together.
And everyone, there's other people having a go, and they're welcome to the industry and come along and support it. That's the main thing. So
it's that attitude right there that I love. That's exactly the point, isn't it? You're not getting mad because anyone else is having a go at
no, I couldn't care less. Well, but what I think is when people get on the shirt tails and don't contribute, then that's a bit low to me. I sort of think, you know, if you're going to be part of the industry, throw your hat in the ring and have a go and support the events and sponsorships, and like everyone that was here this weekend, that was, you know, it was creative man threw in the prize and the steel for a competition on the weekend. Of course, Blair Walker donated an anvil, and you know, I sell anvils and I sell steel, but it's fantastic that they've done that.
Not offended by it.
And of course we supplied the belts and so we all contributed, and as a result everybody had a chance to win, and it was good. Yeah, so that's the industry we're in. It's good industry.
I love it, and I've said this to a couple of other people, but you're probably the man for it. I've been in a few clubs and hobbies and jobs, including I was running a gas company for 15 years. I sort of know where you guys are and all that, but I've never ever been in anything where the members want everyone else to learn. They want to actually share their information. They want to make things accessible and that sort of. I don't think I've met anyone who's like, I'm not telling you that.
I think the whole point of symposium is that it's a sharing of knowledge more so than you know, you come and get a set repertoire. You don't, at a symposium, the newest person comes along and says to you, look, if you do this and this, I learnt this years ago as a boiler maker,
Yeah.
and you learn these little tricks, you know,
Yeah.
that you would never have
Speed the
learned.
process up.
And before you know it, like even the most experienced, I know Sofredo, one of the best knife makers in the world. I saw him learn something today.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I mean to say, it's out there.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. And it shortens people's learning
Oh,
time so quick, like you said earlier. There's
Right.
people in be it 2 years who are doing knives that
fantastic.
20-year veterans
Fantastic
probably would
work.
struggle with.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to say thank you very much, because your videos actually, weirdly enough, are half the reason I I do this exact thing.
Yep.
But I appreciate it very
Yeah,
much. and we
sound quality
appreciate
is
it.
better, and the visuals probably heaps better too. So.
Hopefully.
I
It's
don't
on,
know.
it's on a wonk at the moment, so it might not be great.
No,
But
that's all right.
If we both lean back, it'll probably look fine.
Yeah. No, my care factor about that sort of thing is not real high, so
Yeah.
and anyway,
That's good.
I don't really care. It's just we're just in it to have fun, and that's what we're in it for, and of course sharing knowledge and sharing experience.
Yeah. Where can we find you? Well, where can we find things that you want? Because I think.
No, look, Australian Blacksmiths, Bladesmiths and Knife Makers Network
Yep.
is on Facebook.
Okay.
It's a Facebook group with about 20,000 members, and we've got a simple rule: don't be a dick.
But-
It's simple.
Several times.
Yeah, well,
Because
yeah.
it's really
read the
important.
rules.
Yeah,
It's
read
very
the rules.
important.
It's a very important rule.
And you know, we don't suffer fools. So if you want to get on there and hide behind a keyboard, it's probably not the group for you, and you probably won't last real long.
Yeah, because actually no one will allow it. Everyone loves each other so much.
Yeah,
it
that's
gets
right.
dealt with by
And
everybody.
it's like
really
you're breaking rules 1 through 10.
That's
And
right.
they're all the
All the
same.
way
So
through.
don't be a dick.
Where else can we find you?
And yeah, on
Gameco Artisan.
artisansupplies.com.au.
Yeah. Don't go to the Gameco website. You won't find much.
And, you know,
And if we
Facebook,
friend request you,
Instagram,
how long will you take to
Nirok at
reply?
Cameco. What?
If we friend request you, how long will you take to
Probably
to become a
ages.
friend?
Send me a message. I do my best, but I actually have a team. I do manage a company that employs 50 people. We've got 3 warehouses in Australia, 1 in New Zealand, and I'm not always available to answer stuff. So just contact the team 02 9648 5856, 8 till 4:30 Monday to Friday, and one of them will give you a hand.
Love it. And they always bring you crap to the show if you want it.
And don't
To
charge
shows
freight.
and that sort of stuff. Don't charge freight. Can't argue that.
And we support all the shows in Australia, so if there's a knife show on, we'll be there.
We'll be there.
We're sponsoring it and doing our best to sort of make sure it happens and is big and supported.
Yeah, that's right. Awesome. Thank you very much for your time.
Take care.
Much appreciated.
All the best. By the way, like and subscribe to this video.
Oh, almost forgot. August 3rd and 4th, Rosehill Gardens, City Knife Show. It was awesome last year. It's going to be even better this year. We've got all sorts of crazy people coming.